Okay, great. So today I want to share my screen briefly. Okay. Okay, so I'll be hosting the session with Bukola. I don't know if Bukola, you're around, if you can say hello. And then we also have the Wikimedia Education User Group also in our midst to give us wonderful updates and exciting news about what's happening in their community. So before I forget, let me check if the session is recording.
I see it's recording.
It's recording. Good, good. Thank you so much, Selish. Okay, so I don't know if Bukola can hear us.
I did see Bukola join the call, but I don't see her right now.
Okay, so I think she's having a little bit of internet connectivity issues, but I want to welcome you all once again to the EduWiki Africa Live. This is the first event that we are hosting this year, and we promise you that there's a lot that you're going to benefit from today's session. Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Ruby Damishi Brown. I'm from Ghana and also a member of the Open Foundation West Africa team, where we do a lot of programs, projects, and all of that. I'm excited to be here, and I also was the EduWiki Africa collaborator for 2022. We haven't yet announced the new collaborators for this year, but I know Selish is going to share more details about that. I'm also here with Bukola James, and she will introduce herself briefly when her internet connectivity is perfect. Yeah, so I'd like to introduce Salish. If Salish is here, he can also give a brief introduction of himself briefly.
Thanks, Ruby. I'm keeping my video off. If necessary, I can turn it on just to save some bandwidth. But hi, everyone. My name is Sailesh Patnaik. I'm a program officer with the education team at Wikimedia Foundation. And it's exciting I'm excited to be here. And it's very interesting to see like how this EduWiki Live initiative that we grew together with the community last year is taking shape, thanks to the leadership of volunteers in the continent. I know that both Ruby and Bukola, being part of the EduWiki outreach collaborators, also have been hosts and moderator for EduWiki Live global editions, and they have been like amazing hosts. So if you want, you can also check those later on YouTube. They're all recorded because there's a lot of knowledge available for us. But excited to be here. Ruby, thanks for inviting me, and Bukola, thanks for inviting me. I know it's a bit late for me. It's around like 10 p.m. for me almost. So I'll try to not take a lot of time, but be brief in the questions or any presentations that I have to, or anything that I have to share, sorry.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'd also invite the members from the Wikipedia Education User Group. We have Leanne, and we also have Philippe. Yeah, so.
Hi.
Hi, Philippe.
Do you want me to say a few words?
Yes, just give us a brief introduction of yourself.
Yeah, I'm Philip. I'm from Wikimedia Serbia and from Wikipedia Education User Group. I've been involved with the Wikipedia movement since 2004, so a very long time ago. And yeah, I've been on the board of Wikipedia and Education User Group since its beginning several years ago. And I used to be the chair. Now I'm just a board member, and I'll give the word to the current chair, which is Liana.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip. Leanne?
Hi, everyone. I am Leanna Davis. I am the chair of the Wikipedia and Education User Group. And I also work for Wiki Education Foundation, which is the organization that runs the education program in the United States and Canada. And I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you all so much for honoring our invitation. Yeah, so there are a lot of exciting news that we're going to share today, a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today, but just so that I introduce the host. So I'll be hosting this event with Bukola James, who is also the communication expert for the EduWiki collaborators team. So when we open up the registration, there were a whole lot of questions that people wanted to know about what's happening and all of that. So I'd like to invite Selish to talk briefly about the EduWiki collaborators network stuff and all of that. So Selish, if you're okay, I'm gonna ask you some few questions that we'll be happy to learn more. So, so what is the intersection between education and Wikimedia projects, and what role is played by the Wikimedia education team to bring these initiatives to life? These are some of the things that the community wants to learn about, and we'll be happy to hear more about it.
That's a great question. Thanks for asking that question, Ruby. We know that education is a key part to our life. Access to quality education prepare students and teachers to have quality life as well. And we also know that Wikimedia projects are relevant to it. Wikimedia projects provides like necessary skills for making like students digital citizens, acquire 21st century skills, and also give them access to like be a part of this like this global community. There's like so much to learn from each other. There's so much to like work with each other. The role that our team plays is to support volunteer and like with the capacity to achieve this. I can give you like an example of like how my team does that. We have like a portfolio of community engagement. One of the examples is like the consultation that my team provides, and one-on-one consultation with the education team members, where you can reach out to the team members to see like how you can better support your work. We also provide like EduWiki outreach collaborators, which is a peer support network that helps the community in different regions to like grow, to collaborate with each other, find like opportunities to learn and to share, also share their own stories. We have like Bukola, who has been like she has been like a amazing communication expert, in-house expert, I can say. We have seen there's a growth in stories coming from the region, from Sub-Saharan Africa, from Africa, especially like a lot of the contribution, like I want to acknowledge come like for Bukola. The same for Ruby, when you were leading as a community specialist for EduWiki outreach collaborators for Sub-Saharan Africa. I think the last two regional meetings were like terrific. Like we had so many participants, there's so many stories I learned from them, and especially that helped me to like be a part of like Wiki Indaba and to interact with the community, because I knew like what the community is doing in the region. So it's an exciting thing to like even for us to learn what the community is doing, because Wikimedia has been used in education, I think just a year after Wikipedia was started. I remember I was doing a project called education mapping exercise, which later is known as education database. So it creates like it's kind of like a database that has information of like what are the education initiatives that has been done in our movement. And I know like the oldest goes back like somewhere around 2002, 2003, where they like people started experimenting like how Wikipedia could be used in classroom structure. But I also want to say that the first ever like structured initiative was started by Wikimedia Serbia. They recently had their like 15th or 16th anniversary of like using Wikipedia in education, which is like amazing. We see like they're so inspired. We're like so inspired seeing the work that the community is doing and how we can like better support the community with that.
Wow, awesome. So tell us, how does the community solicit partnership and collaboration to implement projects that aligns to these initiatives within the space? Yeah.
Sure. I already mentioned about like the one-on-one consultation. You can use that as a platform from the education team to like develop curriculum, like have a better understanding of like how can you develop curriculums, how can you develop like programs and plans from the for the work that you are trying to do. Even if I would like to like answer it like in a way, if you need like more structured partnership, there's we have a staff based in Ghana who is responsible for partnership in Sub-Saharan Africa, Rudolph. He's the best person to reach out to, and he has been helping a lot with like more regional level partnership as well as like strategic partnership in the region. There's an interesting program that we are working in Ghana with UNESCO Ghana office and Ministry of Education in Ghana. So Rudolph has been like a key partner to us in identifying those regional partnership as well as like strategic partnerships in the region. So he is the like go-to contact for us. When I say us, I also mean like us in the sense the community as well as the team and everyone, all the stakeholders involved in the education work. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one question that community keep asking. What is Africa EduWiki Collaborators Network all about? What is it? I want to be part, I want to do something about it. And sometimes we try our best to communicate it that this is a network. We want to, but I think you would be in the best position to help us understand more of what it is and the role in their communities.
That's a really good question, Ruby. I mean, it actually started as a pilot project in 2021. So EduWiki Outreach Collaborators, or we are calling it like a regionally Africa EduWiki Collaborators Network, is a peer support network. It's a peer support network with like leaders from our movement taking ownership of like the work in the movement, or taking more ownership of like how can we grow our communities together. So it's a space, or you can say it's a group of Wikimedians that are like working to provide support, effective collaboration, and learning opportunities within the education community in the Wikimedia movement. We have been doing this mostly as a pilot project, and it's a long-term like learning as well as like listening as well as experimenting in a way, I would say, because it has to change quite a lot because not every size fit. Maybe if there are challenges in a particular region, we have to think like how can we provide better support to that region, and what can we do to like provide different kind of support to that. And it has been like growing. I mean, I don't want to, maybe I'm a bit biased and say that successfully, but it has built that network within the community. Especially all the community specialists have been like amazing in building that relationship with the local regions or the regional community members and providing them a space. I was talking before, like how Ruby, you helped us organize 2 regional meetings in Sub-Saharan Africa. We had engaged with more than like 60, I think so, more than 60 participants in both the meetings, and from like 13, 14 different countries. And that also helped us to like all analyze like what are the challenges coming up in terms of like the support that we are trying to provide the community. Because I remember, Ruby, after the first regional education meeting, you had shared with me like there are challenges in accessing this space because all the information are coming in English and we need like French interpretation for that. And in the second cohort, in the second meeting, we did provide like a French interpretation support for the second meeting. So these are the challenges we need to know, like how can we make the support available for the community? And these spaces, with your help, with Bukola's help, with Justice's help, Justice and Onine, they have been helping to like help us document the work that's been happening in the region. There is a regional space that Onine and Justice have helped us build, which would be like more curated by the community members in Sub-Saharan Africa, that will have like more go-to information. There could be like more go-to information around it. And yeah, that's like my update on like what's Africa EduWiki Collaborators Network is about. Right now, we are in the stage of evaluation. So Ruby, Bukola, Justice, Oninwe, they have already given us feedback of like what are the new changes they want to see in this particular support, and what should we add, what new things should we add, what are the things we should think differently. So a decision has to be made on the based on that evaluation. So we are working very actively on that. There'll probably be like more opportunities coming up. There'll be opportunities of like maybe regional EOCs, something like that. But it's too early for me to say right now. This is something that we can also work collaboratively with the user group, and more opportunities coming up with this space. So that's where I'll probably stop.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Silas. So tell us briefly, how can people join the network? Who is it for? Who is supposed to be part of the network? And also, if you can elaborate briefly, what other ways aside from the Wikipedia in the classroom have been used to introduce Wikipedia in education program? Because, you know, I've had a lot of questions when people are talking about Wikipedia in education, they have no idea what project are we talking about, because is it just about reading Wikipedia in the classroom? What other innovations are in education that people can think about? It will be great for you to also elaborate on that briefly. Yeah.
Sure. I'd like to ask a formal question. Anyone can apply for Africa EduWiki Collaborators Network or EduWiki Outreach Collaborators. It's open for everyone to apply for. But there is like an evaluation rubric. You have to go through that, where there's the questions that have been asked. Depending on the answers, depending on your experience and your leadership capabilities, yeah, the selection is based on that. So it's open for everyone to apply for. And there is no barrier. Like we have, we are trying to be like more inclusive in a way of like, if English is not your first language, it's okay, you can apply for like non-English languages. And if there is support available, we're happy to support you with that as well. And yeah, if there'll be a next cohort, I welcome everyone in the call to apply for it and expand our network and see how all the stakeholders could work together on that. And answering to your question about reading Wikipedia, I'm saying that reading Wikipedia is probably a pretty new initiative or pretty new program that was started by the education. If I'm talking exclusively about like education team, right now the team only has like three programs. One is the Reading Wikipedia in the Classroom, and another one is the Wikidata for Education. Wikidata for Education is a program that is being led by OFA, Open Foundation West Africa in Ghana, and Wikimedia Ghana, providing like a campaign support to the program. But it's a pilot project. It's a pilot project in there, which we have started to look getting some results out of that. It's a very interesting project. If I would have had time, I would have shown some of the results of the queries that we are getting out of the project. It's kind of trying to align curriculum topics with Wikipedia articles. So I recently did a query to find out what are the topics from Ghana are covered in English Wikipedia. And it showed me 16 English Wikipedia articles are part of 16 Wikipedia articles. Sorry, there are 16 Wikipedia articles from social studies that are part of Ghana's curriculum are there on English Wikipedia. And I changed the language from English. I made it to Dagbani. I changed it to some other language. And you'll be surprised when the English result was showing 16. When it came to Dagbani, there was only one article. There was only one article that was part of Ghana's curriculum. So you can see what is a larger knowledge gap. Like if a student wants to learn something from the school curriculum in their own language, the languages at some time do not have that kind of representation. So that this program is trying to identify, this project is trying to identify those knowledge gaps, see how can Wikimedia projects be aligned. But let's leave it behind. Let's talk about like, what are the other projects that are happening in the region? So while Reading Wikipedia in the Classroom is the talk of the town is happening, is because of our amazing trainers in the region have been implementing the pilot projects, but there are more local programs happening and much cooler or as cool as Reading Wikipedia. I know in Ghana, the QX program, the offline education program is amazing. Maxwell and the team that leads the program in the region is something that other regions need to learn from, need to be like inspired by. And I remember watching this presentation from Ruby at Wiki Indaba, and I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool because, you know, while we are all talking about like online access and online contribution, there is like 1/3 of the world or half of the world that still doesn't have like connectivity. So what can we do to make like provide access to, like, when we are talking like all the human knowledge be available for them, and QX plays a very important role in that. So an amazing program happening in there. There are other African Wikimedians who are partnering with like schools, education institutions. There is like wiki clubs happening. In different region. I know of the Kumasi Wiki Club in one of the countries. Sorry, my bad. It's too late for me to like remember all the geographical locations. Amazing project. I know probably Obi is in the call, and she is leading an interesting initiative, which is the senior citizen literacy program in Nigeria. And amazing, like probably Obi was in a call once in all affiliates meeting that we were hosting, and I connected Obi with Lucy from Wikimedia Czech Republic. So Wikimedia Czech Republic actually is one of the flag bearer of senior citizen program. Like they have very strong and structured program on that. And I saw like, this is something that you all need to collaborate on. Like this is an amazing place to work together. And these are like really, really important things that our communities are doing that needs to be highlighted more, that needs to be talked more about. And yeah, I mean, more cooler projects are coming from the region that we can learn about, we can definitely work on. So
wow, thank you so much, Sailesh, for giving us such great insight. I guess you've learned so much. And I mean, Sailesh is still part of the community, so you can always reach out to him or join the Africa EduWiki Telegram page and get connected. So we'll be moving on to the next section, talking about the Wikipedia and Education User Group. I believe most of you have heard about the user group, and is the same user group that is hosting the Wikimedia Education Conference in Serbia this year. So there's going to be a lot of updates. Just stay tuned. But before we let the Wikimedia Education User Group take over, we have a brief lightning talk from Ismail Atiba. I don't know if Ismail is not here. If Ismail, I think Ismail is having connectivity issues. So I would let Romeo give us a lightning talk. Then we will move. So let's go to Romeo. Romeo, if you have internet connectivity, let's take your lightning talk. And then we'll move to.
Hello, Ruby. Can you get me?
Yeah, exciting to have you.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you so much.
A brief introduction.
I'll try. Yeah. All right. I'm super excited actually. So I just want to have this. As someone who has been like in the classroom as a teacher for at least a period of 6 years, working in both South Sudan and also the refugee camps here in Uganda, there are quite a couple of things that I can be able to say that I would like the main problems I have faced as a teacher, and probably the students I've been teaching in that context, and that has been around access of education resources. And that is coming in from books, and also apart from that, basically just resources that are apart from what the teacher can mainly be giving in class. So it gets actually so worse in communities like that are affected by conflict, or probably that are around that have been in a conflict before. Access to such kind of material gets really, really super hard. And this comes up to a situation of what I want to talk about today on running an EduWiki program in a post-conflict environment and conflict environment, just like in South Sudan. So as all of us probably could be knowing, we all understand that some of these places that you can have conflicts like South Sudan, one of the main issues they have is around infrastructure and internet and connectivity, more especially for resources that are online based. And that includes Wikipedia and of course, other educational resources. So our first EduWiki program was actually in 2022. And the main target around our EduWiki program was to basically give awareness that also Wikipedia can be used in the classroom and just be used for education purposes, in the sense of being able to give people access to knowledge and education resources. So we actually had to organize to have at least 100 students that we're going to interact with 20 teachers. And I remember that was such an amazing experience to be with teachers and students. It was very interactive that we had to share out with the 100 students who came in attendance. First, we did not know how it was going to happen, but at some point we were super excited that all the 100 actually had to come in. We had an open space provided to us by the school, but also apart from that, also the teachers were super excited to be able to be part of the program. Yes, we were able to organize and just be able to aware the teachers and the students about first of all, the presence of Wikipedia and how they can be able to get that for them. But one of the main challenges that we had within that particular event session was access to internet. Internet is still a very huge problem in our country, very huge, that apart from it not being very available, it's even very expensive. Whereby I like saying this, just 5 gigabytes of data in our country cost around $25, which is when you compare to just a neighboring country like Uganda, it's way cheaper here in Uganda, making it very easy actually to run a program here than in South Sudan. So these are some of the challenges that very highly affected us. We tried to do the program, which became of a success because one of our main goals was to be able to aware the population about the existence of this amazing program. But also apart from that, we're supposed to be having quite a follow-up program. And I'm super excited that actually in this particular call, we have people who have already either prototyped or are doing quite amazing projects that have even carved up some of the challenges we're facing around internet, like Kiwix providing access to this. We ended up having a conversation with MTN, which is an internet provider in our country. And for right now, we have Wikipedia that you can access on internet, but not with data. So you don't actually need data to be able to access it, and which is great, but you only access it only on mobile, not on a computer. So you can just read, but not actually be able to contribute. So we are still looking for possibilities on how to do that. But I want to look forward as part of our solutions to be able to collaborate with people that are like other amazing people like the ones doing Kiwix, and of course other communities that are already prototyping or doing better programs that could be able to suit in our context as well. But otherwise, yes, that was our first program. And we are having yet a long journey to learn a lot, but I'm super welcome together with my community to be able to get a lot of suggestions on how best we can be able to run this. For communities have already also had the same way, though our community context may be different because it comes from a very conflict base, meaning we have a lot to fix in terms of our education structure yet. But yes, Wikipedia is coming in as a solution for us there. Yes, for right now, I can say we have at least of our 100, we have retained around 30 people who are within our community contributors, and they're quite doing amazing. But yes, I would love to get a lot of contributions from people around who can help us and also enable the rest to get suggestions. Otherwise, yeah, thank you so much, Ruby. That's from us. Yeah, I can get questions
Wow.
and suggestions. Thank you.
This is exciting. I'm so happy to hear that. Wonderful work that you're doing to help bridge the gap in your community. Yeah, so let's get back to where we left off. So we have in our midst Philip Malkovic. I hope I pronounced it right, from the Wikipedia and Education User Group. He did a brief introduction of himself, but for the sake of the new people who just joined, maybe it will be best to just do a brief introduction, and then we'll zoom into some questions that the community have for you.
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Philip from Serbia. I'm a long-term Wikipedia and Wikimedian involved with Wikimedia Serbia since 2005 and a Wiki and Education User Group since its beginning in 2018, and also the Education Collab that existed before this user group. So I've been involved with education work for and Wikipedia in education since 2006, I guess. So a long time ago. And Sailesh did mention that Wikimedia Serbia was one of the first chapters to structurally access this problem of Wikipedia in education, and we had one of the first education programs in the world. So we're proud of that.
Wow, and we're also proud of you. Yeah. Yeah, so I think a lot of people get confused a bit because there's a education here, Wikimedia Foundation education team. There's a whole lot of sometimes the community is not clear what exactly it is. So can you give us a brief introduction to Wikipedia and Education User Group and their role in the community? Yeah, sometimes too people think that it's for a certain group of community members and not Africans. So I think it would be great to sort of like demystify all these conceptions.
Right. Yeah, so as I mentioned, Wikipedia and Education User Group grew out of the Education Collab, Wiki Education Collaborative, that was founded by Wikimedia Foundation. So we sort of grew out of Wikimedia Foundation, who wanted to sort of foster this community of volunteers so that we can work together on many different ideas and projects. Because at the time of its forming, there was no such thing as a user group. So we had to exist in this collab thing, which was really, it was interesting, but also weird. But then once the Wikimedia Foundation and the whole community adopted and accepted the form of user groups, we decided to sort of reorient ourselves towards this user group model. So we've had our founding assembly in I think it was October or late September, early October 2018. And that's when we sort of formed our first board. And our first chair was Shani, who you might know as now being a part of the board of trustees of Wikimedia Foundation. And then after a while, she had to step down because of her new role, and I became the chair. After a while, I stepped down for Liana, so we're sort of we're not holding on to power too much. But yes, it's definitely a volunteer body. So we have 5 members of the board and 2 special advisors. Shani remained as a special advisor for the board, and recently in our last General Assembly, Bukola was admitted as another special advisor to the board. So that it was great, and it's still great working with her. So this is, as I said, a volunteer-driven body. So we don't get paid. We have a lot of capacity, but not too much capacity. So what we've been doing is basically what we could with our limited time. So the user group was intended for as a global group to facilitate and support and advocate the implementation of Wikipedia, but also other sister projects into the educational systems and the curriculums, and to be the go-to body for education in the Wikimedia movement. And we decided on the name Wikipedia and Education because Wikipedia is the most recognizable name, and we know that we would have to communicate with educators as well. So recognizability was quite important, but we also don't want to limit ourselves to just Wikipedia. There are many projects, the Wikimedia projects that can serve for education programs. So and we decided on 3 focus areas. Those are community, resources, and outreach. So based on that, we've sort of tailored our activities so far. So yeah, I think that's a brief description of what the user group is and what it does.
Wow, interesting. I know that the Wikimedia Wikipedia and Education User Group offered a lot of opportunities, and I think I have been a beneficial of some of the programs that you offer to the community. That's the mentorship program, which has also enabled me to plan my Wikipedia Ambassador program, which is going to be launched this year in my community. I learned so much from Neposha, who was my mentor, and I really loved that program so much. So tell us about what opportunities do you offer to the community, and kindly enlighten us.
Yeah, so as I said, we have quite limited time, but so we don't have a lot of projects, but we felt like mentorship is something that's really important for the community. Yes, I agree. Abhishek is amazing. He's my colleague from Wikimedia Serbia, paid staff, our education program manager, and he's amazing. So I agree with you. But yeah, we decided that mentorship is something that's really important for the community, and that many people can share what they know, but also a lot of people can learn from that sharing, and also we didn't really want to do the separation of exclusively mentors and mentees, but we also try to find people who are semi-experienced, so to speak, so that they can learn from each other, not necessarily be in a I know a lot and I don't know anything sort of dynamic, but to sort of co-mentor. So we have organized 2 of these projects. One was from the year before to the last year, and we had another season which opened last fall, so several months ago, and it's still ongoing. And we decided to do the second round because we found that the first one, according to the feedback and some incidental data that we got collected, was really successful. And I think people found it useful to go through this process. What we also found out is that some sort of guidance or a bit of structure could be useful. So we tried to adapt that into this year's instance of this program, but there's still more to work on on our part as organizers. I'm fully aware of that. So we're trying to be better, but we're also trying to invite as many people as possible and include them. And there have been a lot of participants from Africa, which I'm really happy about. I was the one tasked with pairing people, so that was a really tough a job this year, well, last year, because there were so many good people and it was hard to sort of make these connections. So if you were mismatched, that's my bad. But yeah, I'm hopeful that many matches are good and that they can progress with the mentoring. And so we're I guess nearing the end of this session of this second instance. It's supposed to last until spring or early summer, and then we'll call an end to it. And then we plan, if things go well, and I think they will, to launch another call in early fall this year. So hopefully, if someone missed it before, they can apply. You can apply this year as well, and then we can try to match you again to someone who's good, who's a good match for you. So yeah, there will definitely be more opportunities to participate in this program.
Wow, exciting. And so how do people get to join the user group? Because I think during the time that we had to vote for Bokala, we realized that, most of us thought that we're part of the user group, and to realize that no, there was a process. We had to right, register somewhere. There was this thing. If you can show us how we can be part of this user group, where do we have to go to register as a member of the user group?
Yeah, of course. So it's actually quite easy. We have a presence or a wiki page on MetaWiki. It's just Wikipedia &Education User Group, and there's a link therein called Join Us, I believe. Yeah, it's a blue button, and it leads to this page that I pasted in the chat, which is the Get Involved page, where you can basically click here to become a member. It's a button in the middle of the page, and it goes to the members list, where you get a link to fill the membership form. It's basically just a Google Doc, a Google form that you fill out. It's very simple, and our membership admin Joao tends to process these on a regular basis, and once he processes you get subscribed to the mailing list and you're in. So it's quite easy. What we still lack, though, is this larger participation and involvement of the membership base, and we sort of hoped to use the upcoming EduWiki Conference in Belgrade for that. So I'll just leave it at that for here, and then we'll talk about that very soon.
Great, awesome. So before we get into the conference bit, I'd like you to let us understand how, like you talked about mentorship, skill building and all of that, but community need resources to implement programs, projects and all of that, because after getting the skills, what next? We need to implement our program, and that's where we need support. Is this something that your user group does or has been thinking around it to sort of like have a program that supports communities to implement education projects?
Yeah, so because we have as I said, limited capacities, we can't be there for as someone who can constantly monitor a program. That's simply not feasible. But I think we're hoping that we can make that happen, or at least I think we're driving towards the one of the big strategic goals, knowledge as a service, and also making sure that people are well resourced, that they have the information they need, they have resources that they need. So at this point, yeah, we've organized several, I want to say more than 10 public meetings that are openly available for everyone, not just membership or members, rather. So we try to invite guests that are experienced and that can offer some insights into their own work. So that's something that has been fairly successful. And we have those meetings actually recorded on YouTube. So I'll ask Liana to kindly provide a link, because I don't have it prepared, but it's something that you can actually take a look, and it's a good showcase of how things could be done, and maybe you can get inspired from that. We also at some point, I believe that was about 2 years ago, did a tech yeah, what was it called? A survey of tech needs, so tech needs survey. So that was a way for us to gauge information. Oh, thank you, Sailesh. To sort of get the feeling from the community about tools that, or resources in general, that you might lack. So we try to sort of find ways to collect information to get what people need, or for example, what sort of tools they know that exist but can't really use, don't know how to use. So we found out that Wikidata and Wiki and dashboard, outreach dashboard, are something that's really important for people. So we try to incorporate those, and also some other tools. We try to incorporate them into these public meetings so that we can give back to the community and sort of fill those gaps. There's certainly a lot more to go, but some people say all roads lead to Rome. I think in this context, all roads lead to Belgrade, to the EduWiki Conference in May, because the idea that we had, and this conference was supposed to happen in early 2020, so or late 2020, but we all know what happened then, so it was canceled. We wanted to use this the conference as an opportunity to launch work on working groups. So that's something that we've sort of discussed internally a lot about, and that was coming back to the previous question, to involve the community. Yes, we wanted to do that through, so how you can get involved through these working groups, so that we can organize sub-communities to work on different tasks. For example, mentorship, for example, resource development, tech infrastructure, global outreach, and et cetera. So these were things that we wanted to sort of launch in our conference, and I believe that we all believe that in-person meetings are very important. So so then we paused when we didn't get to organize the conference until May this year. So we're hoping that after this year's conference, we can relaunch this idea of working groups and involve the community much more than they're currently involved.
Wow, this is exciting. I think it's a very wonderful initiative, because it then gives people the practical experience, like to put their skills to work through those working groups. And we really look forward to that. So let's delve deep into one of the things that excite us most is the EduWiki Conference in 2023, because we all know for a long time there has been this halt on travel, and so we are not connecting to each other in person. And we've learned that conferences are great spaces to sort of solidify collaborations, and a whole lot of wonderful things come out of these conferences. And so it's very important to us, especially the African community, to represent. We want to know more about the conference, what kind of support. I mean, the scholarship is over, but we haven't yet gotten the feedback on who gets what. So it'll be great to know when should we expect to hear, what other ways can people join if they don't get a scholarship? How can people who are passionate to be on board join? Yeah.
So as I said, this is the idea of a conference of this sort is now more than 3 years old, and after all the bans have disappeared, we can now reorganize it, and things are progressing well. I would say the organizing committee is meeting weekly to discuss important things. We have discussions with Hen from Wikimedia Foundation and also the leadership from Wikimedia Foundation. So we have a lot of different venues to discuss this, and also because this is a unique opportunity where Wikimedia Serbia is doing the logistical part of the organization, and Wikipedia Education User Group is doing the online thing, so doing the scholarships and program, etc. So there's a lot of synergy there, and it's really exciting to see. So as you know, the scholarship process and the registration process altogether have closed about 3 weeks ago, I believe, and we're in the process of grading people. So I'm a part of the of that committee, as well as Bukola and several more people, Onyinye as well, from this community. So yes, we're sort of finalizing that. We're in the last week of doing that, and yes, actually last few days. In several days, we'll need to finish our work, and then we'll sort of do the final or semi-final ranking of people, and we'll then have the opportunity to share that list with the Wikimedia Foundation, who needs to confirm those people, because they will be funded by them. And then early March is the so in about 2 weeks is the time when you can expect to get some answers or feedback. So this was a long way to say, hold your seats. It's going to happen very soon. So that's our plan. After that, the program committee will start working intensively on curating the program. Liana is heading that committee, so she can give you a few words if we have time about that. So and then we're sort of on track. The next things is to get into the visa application process for people who need a visa for Serbia, to book flights and accommodation, and then things will get really smooth by the time we draw near the conference. And as for the participation, so we believe that in-person participation is really, really important here. So we decided, and because of its costs, not to make a hybrid event. However, we will be streaming the sessions from 2 main rooms. So there will be 3 rooms. One will be a smaller one for breakout sessions and workshops, but 2 main rooms will be live streamed for the whole duration of the conference. So you can, if you don't get the chance to participate in person, you can definitely follow us online. So I think that's it from me. A briefest overview that I could muster, but Liana, please, if I missed anything, please.
Okay, so let's welcome Liana to give us a brief update on the programs section.
Well, Liana might not be with us anymore.
Maybe connectivity.
Yeah, I think Liana probably dropped now.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do people go to find more updates on the EduWiki conference?
Yes, so I think Salash pasted a link to the meta page of the conference. There's not a whole lot of information there right now because a lot of things are in progress, but we will update it as time goes by. And definitely, if you applied, you will get a reply. If you applied for a scholarship, you will get a reply, either positive or negative, on your email. So follow that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Filippo.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So I'll move to the next session. We have a lightning talk by Izelu. So if you are here with us, you have 6 minutes to tell us about the benefits of the indigenous language in teaching and learning.
Okay, I'm here. It's Eze Ilo.
Good. Eze Ilo.
Eze Ilo, yes, yes.
Good.
I want to share my screen.
Sure, let me make you a host.
Okay.
Okay. I would have to stop sharing. Okay, let me do that. Sorry. Okay. Let's see.
Thank you, Salish.
Are you able to share?
No.
Okay, let me. Okay, just a moment. Okay, you should be able to share.
Okay.
Are you able to share now?
Yeah.
Good. So you have 6 minutes to give us.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you.
Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the topic I'm going to speak on is the benefit of using indigenous languages in teaching and learning. Okay, so what are these benefits? I have 4 of them. And let's not forget that indigenous language is a type of unique language spoken by a group of people living in a particular region. It concerns them, it's their own, it's their property. They communicate and share beliefs, values, culture with using this language, so they own it. The 4 benefits are: promote better and quick understanding of terms, preserve cultural preservation, promote innovation, creativity, integration, and effective communication. And it can also promote or improve solutions to a universal problem. Now let's take the first one. How does indigenous language promote better and quick understanding of terms and curriculum content? Most of our curriculum is written in a foreign language. So before any teacher can even think of bringing that curriculum in the classroom, the teacher must learn the language so that you can be able to pass the information to the students. But when you use indigenous language, the children are at home with their language. So coming from home, there should be a transition from home to the classroom. And if we use indigenous language, it's very impactful. In fact, when they write and read in it, they are so happy because this is what they know. They can speak it, they can write it. Now, another thing is that it makes it easier for the teacher to teach family values, culture, and community growth. In our own setting, in my own language, Igbo language, we have values. We are taught how to respect. We are taught who to respect, how to greet, when to greet, and where to greet. And situations where you greet people, for instance. So when you come to the school, if the teacher is teaching you about moral values, it is something you know. All she's trying to do is to improve on the way you apply what you know. Also, it makes it easier for communication. There's a bond between the teacher and the students where they can speak the same language because they understand each other. There's a collaboration between the teacher, the students, and the parents when they can communicate in the same language, because sometimes children are given homework and an assignment or projects, or there's a group discussion or workshops. They go home and discuss with their parents. If it is a language that their parents cannot understand or don't even understand at all, there's going to be a problem because they don't understand, and it's only left for the teacher and the student to do their thing. Now, when you teach in a foreign language, there's this conflict between what the child knows and what he's struggling to know. Because the foreign language comes with its own ideology, culture, rules, and style of reading and writing. Let me use Igbo language and English language as an example. In Igbo language, our alphabets are constant. The pronunciations are constant. You don't change it. Even if you find that alphabet on the beginning of a word, in the middle of a word, or the last letter of a word, it's constant. It's pronounced like that. But in English language, we were taught that CH has the ch sound. So you can use it and pronounce words like chill, church, chosen. But when it comes to CHOIR, the pronunciation is different. It's called choir. How it happened, I don't know. But we teach our children. So when you try to teach in a foreign language, there's a conflict, there's a kind of struggle to understand or to follow. Now, the second one is preservation of cultural heritage. Most of our culture and traditions were passed down from generations through actions and spoken words before the writing came. So those that were taught hold on to what they know. It's dear to them. But when we don't speak or write these languages, it's lost. Now, for instance, teaching and learning with indigenous language helps to transmit all those cultural values that we have learned, all those cultural perspectives, ideologies, beliefs that we know. It transmits to the next generation and is preserved. I also want to use this medium to thank Wikimedia Foundation for giving different languages opportunity to document our culture, document our stories, our challenges, our wins. Because through documentation, it's equally preserve our culture and beliefs as well. The next one is indigenous language promotes innovation, creativity, integration, and communication. When we teach with indigenous language, it makes the child to have the ability to ask questions, ability to be inquisitive, ability to try to create something, try to create maybe something that is in his head, something that he's imagining. It sharpens their cognitive and collaborative abilities. Teaching with indigenous language is child-centered. It's child-centered because there's participation, there's a lot of involvement where the child asks questions, where the child tries to answer some questions, where the child tries to communicate new knowledges he has gained. He tries to kind of provide solutions to problems. And it also promotes effective communication, because when you use the indigenous language, the language that the people know, there's a kind of inclusion. When you pass information, everybody gets to know what is happening, what is about to happen, or how it's going to happen. Everybody gets to know, because this is language they understand. Okay, let me take, for instance, in our quest to go for greener pastures, career development, self-development, we come in contact with different linguistic concepts and culture. Japan today, or China, is known for being world tech when it comes to innovation and creativity. This is because they've been teaching their children right from primary or nursery education, I don't know what they call it there, with their language, with their mother tongue. So it has helped the children to grow. So in essence, the point to take away here is that there should be continuity from home to school. Instead of when the child is in the home, he learns one language, and when it comes to the school, there's a struggle. So there should be continuity from home to school in order to get these things out.
Wow. Thank
So
you.
let's move on. Let's move on. I'm trying to admit some people. Okay, the last one is solution to a universal problem. Teaching with indigenous language can be a tool for solution problems. We know there's conflict, crisis, violence. This one it's a global issue. It's not restricted to any region. And this conflict, when you teach with a foreign language, there's always this tendency of miscommunication, non-communication, misinterpretation, misinformation, and misunderstanding. Now, on the whole, this could lead to conflict if it is not managed well. But using indigenous language has a positive power, especially when it comes to the native, to resolve this conflicts. In local disputes, resolution with indigenous language have certain approaches, like in my community. Sometimes we can use songs, sometimes we can use proverbs, sometimes we can even use dance to warn an erring partner or advise or even provide solution. And people appreciate or tolerate or listen or even understand and cooperate when someone that has the similar value or belief speaks with them or stays with them. So teaching our children with indigenous language, we build a community or a world that can manage conflict without violence. Thank you so much. So this is me.
Wow. Thank you so much. This is a very insightful project. And it reminds me so much of a project that I participated in 2017, where we were assessing primary students on English language. And the whole idea was that we wanted to know if local language was more profitable in helping children to read than maybe starting to teach English at the basic level. This is a very interesting project that I'd like to know more about. So I'll be in touch and then we can think through. But let me go ahead to share my screen again. But whilst I'm sharing my screen, I'd want to invite my co-host, Bukola. Bukola, if your internet is okay. It just happened that on the Val's Day, like this, the whole Nigeria is just on blackout, light out.
Don't mind them.
Okay. Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes,
so
we can
sorry.
hear you.
I was 99% prepared for this session, but then Nigeria happened and we had a blackout. So I'm so sorry for that. I want to appreciate every participant on this call. And I also want to thank Ruby for standing in for me, even though she's sitting down presently. Yeah, so I want to thank you for standing in. So we've said a whole lot about the wiki, the EduWiki collaborators, Wikipedia plus Education User Group. We've also talked a whole lot about training and mentorship, but then there's still this problem that is very visible in Africa, especially Nigeria now, because I just experienced it, the blackouts, the bad internet connectivity, the inability to access internet when you need it most, just like what I experienced some minutes ago. And then there's this beautiful project by the Open Foundation West Africa, and it is tagged Kiwi for School mentorship program. And there's no other person that could enlighten us more about what this project is than Ruby, who is also a member of a team member of the Open Foundation West Africa. Sorry, I was meant to introduce her before the Q&A, so please kindly go back to the slide before this. Thank you. Okay, so just a little about our host, who is also moderating the session before I came in. Ruby Damencia, sorry if I don't get that name correctly. Ruby Damencia Brown, who will be speaking about the Key Weeks for School Africa for OFWA. She's an open knowledge enthusiast, a Wikipedian, a woman and climate advocate. She started editing Wikipedia in 2019, and she's currently part of the team at the Open Foundation West Africa, where she has been privileged to manage a number of programs and training, designing curriculum to suit community capacity building needs. And one of these needs is what they have identified: the how can communities in Africa overcome the challenges of having to face IP address block, of inability to access the internet, and in fact, the exorbitant rate that is being attached to having access to the internet. So these are some of the things I'll be asking Ruby to help us shed some light on, and in fact, even give us the privilege to see how we could also benefit from this wonderful and very interesting initiative. Over to the next slide, Ruby. Okay, so now you are the speaker, right? so
Thank you.
so the first question here says, what is Key Weeks and how does it facilitate e-learning among educators and learners? Yes, because we need to really understand what Key Weeks is, because for some of us, we feel like it is another Wikimedia project, just like we have the Wikipedia. So we want to correct that perception that we have about it. Ruby, how can you explain Key Weeks to us as fellow EduWikimedians, and how does it facilitate e-learning? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bukola, for the wonderful introduction. So just to give you a little insight into what KWEX is. KWEX is basically a software. So I don't want to say a lot of English, but it's basically a software that allows you to read any online content offline. So it can read a whole website offline, regardless of the number of content that the website has. You can just turn it into an offline mode with KWEX. Okay. So the organization behind KWEX is called KWEX. So they came up with this software, which is so much added value to our education system, especially for Africa, where we're having internet connectivity issues. Like in many parts of Africa, we're struggling a lot. So a little background into how we came about this KWEX for School project. I think somewhere in 2019, Felix Nate, who is a co-founder of Open Foundation in West Africa, introduced KWEX for the first time at the secondary school, and we saw that it had great impact in terms of providing students with internet to educational resources on their devices without having to worry about internet costs. Like Romeo was talking about, internet is very expensive in our part of the world. And so you find out that most secondary schools in Africa don't have internet in their schools, even though the government is trying hard to bring devices, make sure that internet is in these schools. I mean, it's not sustainable because the internet will run out and then it's very difficult to purchase it back, you know. So we find this very insightful. We find this project very instrumental in helping to bridge this gap. I think somewhere in 2019, thereabout, Maxwell, Beganim, and Otuo Boache also took it up at the Kumasi Wiki Hub, trying to implement KWIX in schools in Kumasi. And so one of the things that I decided to do was, why don't we assess the feedback that was coming out from the school? So that they always did this need assessment to find out if this was something that the school really saw as useful. And the need assessment came out very amazing. And teachers were like, this, we really need things like this because they don't have internet connectivity to learn. And if you don't have internet connectivity to learn or to do your research, you know what that means? It means that you're definitely not connected to the other world. You don't have the opportunities that other people who are privileged to have at their fingertips. And I'll tell you a story. I went to one village sometime, and then I needed to make a call or search for something, and then there was no network and there was no internet. And so what that means is that I would have to travel to the next community to be able to access internet. So how many teachers will travel to another city or another community, which is like so much distance? It wasn't even close. It's quite a distance. So that means that if you are not able to go to that city or community, you can't do your research. That's what it's just telling you, because you don't have connectivity in your region. And sometimes when we are in the city, we think that everywhere in our country has internet, and we don't really much care. But I've had the privilege to travel to a lot of regions in Ghana, different remote areas, because of a project that we were running some years back on education. That's the US Partnership for Education. We did a lot of monitoring exercise at the time. And so I really came to appreciate the fact that internet connectivity is a huge problem and we need to find solutions. And so learning about KWIX, I saw that, no, this is what Africa needs to be able to solve their internet connectivity issue. So KWIX allows teachers, it allows students to be able to access these resources on their devices without having to think about how much would it cost me to bundle a month, because then they already have it and they don't need to even think about that impediment. So basically, that's what the KWIX project is all about. So what we have been doing over the past 2 years. So after that need assessment, Otua and Maxwell did in Kumasi, we saw the need to formalize this project. And so we called it KWIX for School because our audiences were school. It doesn't mean that KWIX is for only schools or students. It can be for libraries, it can be for anywhere. It's not limited to schools, but we focused our project on schools. And so what that does is that teachers are able to have all this educational content on their computers, which is a great initiative. We've had a lot of learning. So I did a publication on DIF. So if you want to really learn a lot about what the project is about and what we have been up to, you can just search for KWIX on the DIF blog, and then you find that publication. There's so much that we've learned by implementing this project. We know that it's providing solutions, but there are also a lot of challenges that we've seen, which has to do with devices, because a lot of schools that we have visited in Ghana do not have that much devices to serve the student population. And so these are some of the challenges that we have. And then we also seen that maybe a Raspberry Pi could be a very efficient way of providing that resources, because once the KWIX is put on the Raspberry Pi, it features like the way you connect to a Wi-Fi. Anyone can connect it with other devices, so that we don't have to go back to the school when there are new devices. So even with a mobile phone, they can just access it. And that way too, we don't have to load a whole lot of things on the computer. It makes it more easier and flexible. So there are a lot of pros and cons with this, but we think that this is an ideal tool, has proven to be very effective and very important for our education system. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruby, for giving us like a very detailed explanation, and not just to enlighten us, but to also help us identify some of the benefits of using Kiwix, not just for school alone, as they have also highlighted that we could make use of Kiwix for libraries, for our offices. Like, we don't really it doesn't really have to be for learners and educators alone. Thank you so much for those points you've highlighted. Now, because the EduWiki collaborators is specifically focused on promoting the use of Wikimedia projects among educators, right? So what would you say are some of the things that while using Kiwix can help enhance educational development? Because like we really want to know what are the benefits that students and teachers would gain for using Kiwix to assess the various Wikimedia projects. Can you just maybe give us some few points regarding this question? Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much, Bukola. And I must say that we are in a very dynamic world. The world has changed so drastically, and it's the rate at which the world is changing is even like so dramatic than it used to be. And so there are a lot of things that we need to catch up with. There are a lot of, the world is becoming so competitive, let me say. And so that the need to access complementary form of educational resources cannot be compromised. And when we have Kiwix, when we give Kiwix to schools, or when we implement Kiwix in schools, it offers teachers the ability to explore additional resources for their research. Because look, you cannot depend on the old books in your shelf. And you and I can testify that in Africa, how many times have your libraries been shuffled with new books? How many times have you seen new books in our libraries? We would go back to our schools, our alma maters, and we'll see the same old books that was lying there during 10 years ago. And a lot of things have changed. Even when you go to the medical world, drugs that we used to take 10 years ago, they've told us that no, these ones are better. So there are a lot of changes that are happening in our world. There are a lot of new knowledge that are coming, new research, new findings that are coming. How do these two children, these learners, these educators access that knowledge so that they are not behind, so that they are as equally competitive to the world? So this is what we are talking about. It enhances the development of the kids. When we put this content online, students are able to browse. So they'll even have the privilege of practicing how does the internet work. Because how many students have internet in their homes? Their parents cannot even afford that. And I read a very interesting publication by the internet, I've forgotten a bit, but it was saying that someone would have to spend 24% of his monthly income on 1 gigabyte of data. And this is something that Romeo is talking about. Look at how much it costs to purchase just 1 gigabyte of data. So this is what the reality on the ground. How long can we wait for everyone to get internet? How long can we wait for our children and our teachers who are teaching our children to access internet, to do quality research, to be able to impact our knowledge in our educators, in our learners, sorry. So the reality is this. Let's face our reality and let's find our solution to it. And then Kiwix is something that I will recommend as a very vital solution for community libraries. We can have Kiwix so that those old books are not the only resources that students have access to. They can have access to other complementary educational resources. And it's not just about like textbooks and all of that we put on Kiwix. Students can access TED Talks. You know, they can access videos that are informative, that are educative, open their mind, help them to be critical thinkers, you know. So these are the things that we are talking about that we believe that can enhance the development of people at the grassroots level in Africa.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Like you, you're really speaking my mind right now. I could remember vividly why we were trying to implement the reading Wikipedia in the classroom. We faced some series of challenges like IP address block, because like all the teachers were trying to connect to Wikipedia. They were trying to create accounts at the same time. Then during the implementation for secondary school students, we also faced the challenge of internet security, because like the school management wanted to prevent their students from accessing other illicit sites and sites that are not really educative. So they were scared, they were skeptical about whether or not they should adopt the implementation of the program at the onset. So I believe 2 weeks is the solution to some of these challenges that we face, and it will be a very good one to like have more communities, not just within Africa but other countries as well, who might want to execute or implement this initiative. Now, I recently went through the OFWA newsletter, and then I was reading through the interesting stories on the newsletter, and I got down to this point where I saw the call for application for 2 weeks for school Africa mentorship program. And I was like, wow, finally the form is open. And many members of the community who are already very anxious, like they are patiently waiting to become part of this program, they can now finally have like opportunity to be part of the 2 weeks for school in Africa. Now, what is the mentorship program all about, and how can EduWiki Medians become part of this program? Because, like I said earlier, the form is out. I believe some members of this some members of the EduWiki, they don't really know that the form is out. But yes, I'm giving you that I'm giving you the expo now. The form is out, and Ruby will be telling us more about what the mentorship program has to offer and how you can apply. And who knows, you might just be one of the lucky first set of mentors to learn and implement. So over to you, Ruby.
Thank you so much, Bukola. Yeah, I'll clarify that a bit. Let me talk briefly about the Keways for School Africa Mentorship Program. As you all know, or maybe some of you are just getting to know this, we have been implementing this project in Ghana for the past 2 years. And like I said, we did a wonderful evaluation of the project, and we share some lessons to the community to learn about it, and it's on Div. So the Keways for School Africa Mentorship Program was developed out of the need for this project in different African countries, because we realized that we had contacts from other African communities, even at Wiki and Daba, expressing the need to understand how this project works, and how they can also be involved and implement the program in their community. And so that was our inspiration for launching this mentorship program. So the whole idea of the mentorship program is to equip the community to acquire the skills. And then we also support the community to be able to implement a similar program in their community. And also, I mean, if they do very well, they can stand the chance of getting other funding opportunities to be able to expand the projects in their region, because we understand that the demand is very high. So we want to be able to groom you. Anyone who is interested to implement the project in Africa, we are interested to help you. And so the call that Bukola is talking about that we've issued out is for just the Ghana community, because that's also like a separate project that has been running in Ghana. But the African Mentorship Program is a different layer of that whole entire project. So what we're going to do is we're going to issue out a call very soon for people to start applying. And then we are going to have dedicated 2 weeks for training. So there's going to be a 2 weeks training, after which you'll be assigned to experience Kiwis for School implementers who have done this project, so that they can support you getting your resources on board, helping you step by step to be able to do that. And after the program, after completing the course, you would be given a certificate of completion. And also we are willing to award about 5 people from 5 different countries a mini grant to be able to implement that project in their region. We want to explore that, so we don't have a lot of funding for you, but we're hoping that in future we could get, depending on how this pilot go in future, we can be able to request for more funding to support more African community members who will be implementing the project. So that's the whole idea. So there's going to be a launch event on the 16th of March. So there's going to be a launch event, and that's where we'll launch the call for participation. So please be on the lookout for the call for participation as an MNT, and then we will enroll you for the 2 weeks course, and then assign you to a mentor who will be helping you step by step to be able to implement the project. And then you stand the chance of winning a small mini fund to try to implement it in at least one school to see how it goes. And then we want to learn some lessons from different African countries to see how different terrains also, how this works in different regions, what are the response and feedback. And that's also going to help us to properly improve on the project in the coming years. So this is just like a very simple, more straightforward thing. And we are very excited about it because I mean, like, we want to bring the solution that Africa wants, and we're seeing that this is the way forward if we really want to make impact in our education sector, because internet is definitely like a big challenge in our region, and we want to do everything that we can to be able to I mean, like, resolve that challenge, even though it's not going to be easy. So I don't know if there's any more question to that, but it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Ruby, it's really straightforward, like you said. And my bad, sorry, I thought the form that was out was the Kiwis for School Africa Mentorship Program, and I was very excited already, like I need to apply, you know. So thank you so much for the clarification. So we hope to get a notification once the Kiwis for School Africa Mentorship Program call for application is on. And as being a communication expert, always note that I would always be one of the first set of people that will be sharing this opportunity with you all. But please kindly like our Facebook page. We are Wikipedia plus Education, and yes, on Facebook, yes. And then we also have a Telegram group. I think Silas could help me drop those in the chat. We have a Telegram group where you can always drop your questions, comments, and if you need assistance with some of your education projects, or you need a guide on how to align your projects with what the Wikimedia Education stands for, then the good place to go to is, first of all, you can always like drop a message on the Telegram group. So thank you so much, and permits me to now ask you to leave the spotlight while we go over to the next agenda. So yes, Romeo had earlier given a lightning talk about the his project in South Sudan for educators. So I don't know if Ismail is now on this call, if Atiba is now on this call to give us his lightning talk. But if he is not here, because he earlier dropped some messages for me, everybody is experiencing the blackout. I was just part of those few that were lucky to access the internet. So that's why I'm here. So now I earlier dropped the link to the agenda notes for people to drop their comments, their questions for the speakers and the presenters. So I wouldn't know if there are comments on that agenda notes now, so we could go over it. before we now say yes, congratulations, we spread the EduWiki love, right?
Yeah. Let me see. But if someone wants to speak up, they can just go ahead whilst I look for it.
Okay, Ruby.
Okay. Go
Uh,
ahead when you're.
Yeah, I actually had a question for Obi, on the part of using local language in schools, on probably just using local language for education. So I come from, I think when you look at our context, we still have a very big problem when it comes to the acceptance of local language. There's this whole thing, do not speak vernacular in school and all that. And parents don't take it so easy in our institutions, and even teachers, because there's a way they feel proud when students speak English. How have you, this is why I put a question there, how have you managed the attitude change? Or probably, is there any experience you've had around attitude change from students or teachers around the use of local language? Yeah, does it make them feel, how have you managed that, Obi? Do you have any comment around that area?
Yes, I have so many comments. Thank you. Thank you. I'm even a victim. When I was in school, during school hours, I don't talk, because when you speak vernacular, as it was called then, you pay a fine or the teacher will flog you. So during school hours, I don't talk, I keep quiet, because I really didn't understand. I was having conflicts of using the English language as against the Igbo language I know. But after school, I can sing and shout and make noise. So I was an introvert during school day hours and extrovert during after school. Now in my school, we had that challenge, teachers accepting students to read, to learn, and to teach and learn with indigenous language. We equally have challenges against government policies not making it compulsory. We have challenges from parents not allowing their children to use the language. Now, what I did was, when I'm in class, I started teaching them how to use, I started using projector. I started doing what they call visual learning, so that you see the beauty of the language. You see the beauty of your environment. You understand the beauty of your culture. Then, secondly, the Wikimedia User Group, it really helped, because they supported me in my journey. I started doing what they call, I formed a club, EduWiki Club. Now, sometimes during cultural days, like during mother tongue, I will ask the students to dress in their Igbo attire. Then I formed a WhatsApp group for their parents, and I start communicating, telling them the importance of indigenous language, telling them how beautiful teaching your children indigenous language is, how challenging it is for them to leave the language and begin to learn the other languages. And I had great support from the parents. Now I moved to the teachers. I started doing EduWiki concerts for them in Igbo language. And it was so interesting that those that are not Igbo native speakers decided to join. I now enlarged the group and called it EduWiki Club, so that I can accommodate those that are not Igbo language. But during Igbo days, everybody dressed in Igbo attire, whether you're Igbo or not, everybody dresses in Igbo attire. And that was how I was able to conquer that. And I started encouraging them to communicate using the native language. Even some of my teachers that are not Igbo, whenever they see me, they shout, "Ndewo." Ndewo means hello. So that was part of how I was able to curb that challenge.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Obi, for sharing an insight into the question that Romeo asked. Romeo, I hope our explanation has really given a clearer picture to the question you asked, right?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I have a question for her, and I so much love this. I so much love this project. Even though we are wrapping up, maybe you can give a brief insight, or we could talk later about it. But I also have been part of one project, a national project like that, where it was a USA Partnership for Education project where we were assessing primary students to understand if local language was indeed what children should be taught with to be able to enable them read well. And one of the challenges that we had in some of the communities is that the kids spoke different languages. So you have this child speaking Ga, this child speaking Tree, this one is speaking Ewe, and all of them are in a class, and the teacher can only speak Ga because probably maybe it's a Ga community, or I mean, like different tribes do different work, like we all can do the same work. So you have the teacher speaking Ga. How do you do that? I don't know if you've had any challenge in that kind of scenario. Maybe Nigeria might be a different context, but how do we deal with those kind of contexts to be able to, because we understand that local language is very important, because I love the fact that you said continuity, because children are speaking in our home and then we come to school, it's a different whole language. But now we're also seeing a different trend where parents have stopped speaking indigenous languages at home, because the new group of people, computer, we call it computer babies that are coming, like computer era folks that are coming up, they are speaking English with their students. So there's a whole lot of dynamics to this, but how have you dealt with some of these kind of challenges? Maybe in 1 minute, we can talk about that.
Okay. Let me start with having different dialects composing of one language. Like in Igbo, we have different dialects. Now, the one we teach in school is the standard dialect that everybody will understand. That is the one that is used in school. Just like English has standard language. Chinese, they do. Germans, they do. Yoruba, Hausa, French, they do. So Igbo language has a standard dialect that we teach the students, so that somebody from Abakaliki, Imo, Owerri, Abia, Enugu, Anambra can understand when they talk to each other. Coming to the second aspect of parents it's really a big challenge, because they that are training their children using the English language, maybe they were not trained with the indigenous language. So in a way, you don't blame them, because you can't speak what you don't understand. You can't speak what you don't know. My only problem is that if they are left like that, the language will die. So we've been emphasizing that they should start speaking. We are now using social media, since everybody understands social media, power of social media. We're now using social media to pass the information, because it's now beyond classroom. We're now using social media to now start teaching it. You can use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of them. So we're now putting it in their faces. At least every day you must speak one. Even if it is Englishinizing is babe, so that it will be interesting for them to pick it and start speaking it.
Okay, Madam Ovi, thank you so much for giving further insight into how we could assist the digital natives to not forget their background. Like, they don't need to forget the fact that, yes, we all have our indigenous languages and we need to promote them, and not because, yes, we are now digital natives, we now forget our roots. We don't have to let it go, right? So we have reached the end of the EduWiki Africa Live for February, and which marks the EduWiki Love Feast. So it's an opportunity to learn from EduWikimedians, to learn from their projects, and to also get enlightened on some of the areas or some of the initiatives that are being carried out, which we really do not have a clear picture about. So now, right about now, I would like everyone to turn on their camera so that we could take a group snapshot, if I may tag it that way. So please kindly turn on your camera while Ruby can take the shot.
Sure.
And yes, you could do like an EduWiki love. So I don't know how that would be like. Yes. So Ruby has just given us an example of what we can do. Yes. EduWiki love. Why we take
Can you remove the screen? Somebody is still sharing the screen.
Okay, yes, could you yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's really dark here and oh nice, Madam Obi.
Yeah.
I love your background.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you could just you might not be able to do the EduWiki love since you're taking the screenshot.
Patricia. Wow. Okay, I'm doing it, so I'm not able to do that.
Okay, yeah.
One. Are you ready?
Hold on, I'm not ready. What's the sign? Somebody should show me.
A love sign.
Oh, okay, like this.
Yeah.
Don't cover your face, okay? Just put it at the
Oh,
side,
okay.
so
Yeah.
that you can see your face. One, two, three. Another one. One, two, three. Amazing people, you all. Wow. Thank you all so much. It's been wonderful for your patience and staying through with us. Yeah, let's continue on the Telegram page. Ask
Okay.
questions. We're cooking
Okay.
up a lot of wonderful stuff for you. If you have any announcement to share around Wikimedia and education, feel free to share on the Wikimedia education. If you're looking for collaborators, you're looking for partners, collaboration, please, that's where the community is. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Greetings from
Bye-bye.
Mexico City.
Bye. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you,
Greetings.
Jacqueline from
Bye.
Mexico.
Thank you.
Wow.
Bye.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Bye.